I'm Granger with Hughes Retirement Group. I've done videos in the past about Social Security taxation. I've done videos about the buckets of money, be it the taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free. Today I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Medicare and Medicare supplemental options. I believe this is a part of retirement that gets left out a lot, even though this can be something that could save you thousands of dollars or cost you thousands of dollars in retirement if you don't have the right plan. So basically what I'm going to touch on is just the basics of Medicare and the 4 parts of Medicare that you need to be looking for. So right now I've got here written on part 1 is original Medicare. And what makes that up is part A, which is hospital, and part B, which is medical. Now right now most people think of part A and B as being 80-20. The way it actually breaks down is part B is actually the part that's going to be 80% coverage. And then you're also going to have a part B deductible of $183 in 2018. And right now, for the standard premium out there, if you are turning 65, most people for that part B are paying $134. Now, most of the time that's taken from a Social Security check. You may not even realize that you're paying that, but you're paying the $134 for that 80% coverage. Now, part A is hospital, and briefly touching on it, you have deductibles that you're responsible for. It does not pay in an 80-20 type fashion. So what a lot of people will talk about is getting a Medicare supplement or a Medigap plan, and those kind of work this way. I wrote down a couple of different plans. You have Plan Fs, Plan Gs, Plan Ns. These plans basically are going to supplement what Medicare does not cover. So if you have a supplement, if they've taken Medicare, they will take your supplement. Now, a lot of people get this confused with Part C plans or Medicare Advantage plans, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to briefly touch on just what a Medicare supplement is. So typically, if you've got a card, you can see on your card, it may say Plan F, it may say Plan G, it may say Plan N, and obviously it's going to pay differently. But let's start with a Plan F. If you have a Plan F, you're probably paying a premium of around $135 to $160, depending on where you live. What that's buying you is that 20% coverage. So all of your Part A hospital deductibles, it's going to cover for you. All of your Part B 20%, it's going to cover for you, and your Part B deductible, it's going to cover for you. So if you have original Medicare and a Plan F supplement, you shouldn't incur any cost. As long as Medicare approves the service, your supplement should then follow up and pay. The next plan down would be a Plan G, which right now would cost you probably somewhere between $90 and $115, and that varies depending on, once again, your zip code or whether you're a male or female and so forth. But your average cost should be around $90 to $115. The difference between a Plan F and a Plan G is one thing. In a Plan G, you are responsible for that deductible. And the thing we typically tell people to take a look at is if you look at the spread between the cost, it's typically advantageous to go ahead and take a Plan G and pay the deductible yourself, because over the course of time, you're actually spending more for a Plan F to not pay your deductible. You might as well pay the deductible yourself, is kind of our line of thinking. And then we can continue going down with the different supplements that are available. Those are the 2 typically that we would recommend that someone takes. Once again, it's a federal-based program, so the supplements then would in turn pay what Medicare doesn't pay. Now, the one thing that's important is understanding what drugs you take, what drugs you could take, and putting those into the system and make sure that you're on the best drug plan for yourself. Now, we typically suggest going on to Medicare.gov, plugging your drugs in, making sure you've plugged the right zip code in to find out what's the best plan for you. Now, this can be a very difficult part, but it is a very important part of Medicare. So right now, we're in a situation where a lot of people are making annual changes. So October 15th through December 7th is known as the annual election period. This is a time to make changes. So you may be in a drug plan right now, and you may be paying too much for your drugs. You may have received a letter from your company saying, hey, your drugs are changing, the tiering system is changing, and so forth. This is the time to make a change. So it's important if you've got an opportunity to sit down with someone or call someone, or if you're pretty savvy yourself, get online, take a look at this. Just make sure you're in the best plan for that upcoming year. The same thing applies to these Part C plans, and I'll touch briefly on them, but basically, instead of paying a monthly premium, you may pay 0 to low monthly premiums, and you will have co-pays. So these are going to be more based on a service area. So depending on which zip code you live in will depend on if you're eligible for one of these plans. You will have, in a lot of cases, max out of pockets. And if you have a Medicare and you book, you can go in the book and look and see which plans are available in your area.